Okay, so this is gonna be the demonstration for things to think about as we work on and continue with our self portrait that we're basically been working on. So I actually kind of moved on ahead though, but I drew like the neck for my picture and then also the shoulders. But just a couple of things to keep in mind of in terms of proportions and making sure everything looks correct. The neck, okay, you want to make sure the neck is kind of like closer to like around the edges. You don't want to make your neck like super thin or make it like too thick. Okay, but again, you want to pay attention to like what's in the mirror, your references. Look at it, and also when you draw the shoulders too. Okay, I'm noticing a couple of you are kind of drawing the shoulders really short. So again, do look at your references, but in most cases, though, if you drew the head pretty big, like how I did in my picture here, the shoulders actually do go off the page. Okay, but if you were to think about it in terms of like proportions, the head that you drew is about like you have like one head here, and then there'll be another head here, and then basically like that part is where your shoulder is gonna actually start to dip down where your arm is. And same thing over here is you have like an imaginary head here, and then like this part around here is like where your shoulders start to dip a little bit more. But otherwise, your shoulders are they should go left and right. And depending on if like you're a female, it may dip down a little bit because females have more of a rounded shoulders, whereas boys or men they have more of like a broader shoulder. But again, just pay attention to your references. I'm noticing some of you guys are making your shoulders really short, and it's ending up making like your portrait look very cartoony, which you don't really want to do for your picture. Okay, so this part of the drawing, though, I'm going to just explain the shading to you. So, because we have a very poor light source for our portraits, the light's actually going to come like directly above us and go down on our faces. And sometimes it's really hard to see like the shadows in the picture. Ideally, it'd be nice to use like a spotlight to do the lighting for your face. But there's like we don't have enough like resources or time to do those things. So I'm just gonna give you some general tips on the shading. So basically under where the eyes are, like I basically drew like these circles around here. This is gonna be like the part of the face where your face is gonna be in shadow. So this part you can it's safe to just shade this part here because this part will always be in shadow because of where the light is coming. And if you were to have like some highlights here, it'd be like under where the eyebrow is here. But otherwise, though, this part's gonna be all in shadow. So it's just safe to say shade this part all in shadow here. And the same thing on the other side too. It's safe to shade this part all under shadow here too. You can also go over it on the eyes too as well. Okay, but that part's gonna be always in shadow, and then under the nose here too. That's going to be under shadow as well. But basically when you're shading though, you want to think about it in terms of like creating shape and form for the face. So that's going to be all under shadow. Under the cheeks here, this part's going to be in shadow as well. Again, you want to pay attention to your references to what you're looking at. Like one side that you shade though, it'll obviously be shaded on the other side too. I'm going to shade under this part here too because under the hair, under the head, this part's always going to be in shadow. Okay, again, our light source isn't too strong, so most of this part will be like in shadows when you get to the drawing. And I'm going to just shade the cheek just like this because you want to create like that nice round shape and form on the head. Okay, and then under the nose too. That part will be in shadow as well. And this part here too. I'm going to just shade a little bit more on this side here. Like I'm noticing there's like a little bit more of like a shadow on this side here. But the shading though is going to have to create like the shape and form of the face. And then the lips, this part's going to be your darkest because this part of the lip is actually coming out a little bit more. So it's coming out the bottom. And then under the chin, this is where it's going to be in shadow as well. So those are just general places you can. It's just safe to shade it, and then under the chin too. Just probably leave it in the highlight because this part. Generally, this is how you're gonna shade the face. The light source won't really change too much because we have like the fluorescent light above our heads. So most of your shadows are gonna look like this. And then under the chin, it's going to be darker on the bottom. And you can do like a little bit on the side too. So you want to take your time and shade the drawing. Again, this is just like I'm just gonna do like just a light gray all the way around. Obviously, I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail later as I'm working on it more and more. Okay, and then also when you get to the part of the hair, okay, this is how you're gonna shade the hair. I guess it depends on like your hair though, how it's shaped and how it's formed. But like if you have like nice fine hair like I do, all you're gonna do is you want to just just color it in, shade it in the direction of where the hair is flowing. So I'm just going to shade this part here gray, and then on the very top, this is where your hair is going to get a little bit lighter. So originally I told you guys not to do this like first, because you want to make sure you get the outline and the shape and the form. So now it's okay to kind of like build up those textures with the hair and how it looks with the the way that you're shading it. But again, I'm still thinking about like the values. I'm not drawing the individual strands still. I'm just thinking about like what areas are going to be dark and what areas are going to be light. The bottom's going to obviously be the darkest part of your drawing because that's where your darkest shadows are going to be. But I'm actually leaving the top part a little bit more light. You want to build up those darks first and then go into the lights. That's how you're going to create like that more of like a naturalistic hair. So when you build it up like this. And you can kind of think of it like in terms of like a mid-tone. And then you can always go darker the more you work on it. So I'm just going to continue to build this up. And this is probably what's going to take the most time is just doing the details, making sure everything looks good and clean in your drawing. I would kind of just work like back and forth. So like now down here, I could probably work on the shading a little bit more. But this part of the stage though is like just completing the drawing. So I'm just shading it here, going into a little bit more details. Oh, that light keeps turning off in my room. And then also like around the like eye sockets here, this can be a little bit darker. Under the eyes, there's a little bit more of a shadow under the eye. So you can make that part a little bit darker. And kind of like create more of like that round shape and form in the eye. This part's a little bit darker on this side here. So this is like where you can start to get like a little bit more detailed in the way that you're shading, and then also like same thing with the hair here. Some parts you're gonna go a little bit darker, other parts are gonna be a little bit lighter to get more like that naturalistic eyebrow on the face. And you can do like the same thing with like facial hair too. It gets a little bit darker on the edges here. Even in a way though, like the facial hair and those things, they do have an effect with your lights and darks. Yeah, that's how you would complete the drawings. This is like I'm just going into more detail now. I'm not really too worried about my proportions now because everything looks correct with the way my face should look. Yeah, you just continue with the drawing more and more. Now, one thing I did want to show you though is how to draw the ears. Like in my picture here, I can't really see too many of my ears, but generally though, if your ear is showing up more in the picture, this is generally how you would draw the ear. So it would be kind of like this shape here, and kind of like that. And then the bottom is gonna be like your earlobe. So this part's gonna be like it's like a little like kind of like bump on the bottom of the ear, and then you would curve the ear out like that, and then this part would kind of like curve in here. This is generally how you would draw like an ear though, if your ear's showing up more. Mine's not showing up too much just because of all the hair on my face, but that's how you generally draw the ear. But again, go back to your references though. Look at the picture that you're drawing from, because sometimes the shape of the ear is a little bit different. Like some parts might be a little bit thicker, some might be thinner. But generally, this is how like the shape would look though if you were to draw the ear. So the earlobe, this part kind of goes in, and then there's like some wrinkles in the ear. So that's how you draw the ear. And what else? Yeah, but I would just continue shading it though. If you have like long hair though, then I guess you kind of luck out in having to draw the ears. The portrait drawing is kind of interesting though, because sometimes you'll have to draw certain things in the pictures, and other times you'll have to omit certain parts. Like for example, if you had glasses, that's another additional challenge you would have to deal with, is how to incorporate the glasses in your picture, or if you have like long hair, that's a little bit more challenging to do than the shorter hair. So everybody's got kind of like their unique challenges they have to deal with their own portrait. And if you guys aren't too sure about how to draw certain things, or if you have any questions about it, you can always ask for help with it. Yeah, otherwise, I'm just spending a little bit more time going into more detail with the picture. Again, at this point though, I'm just really just looking at my references and just shading accordingly to how the picture looks. You don't want to guess these things. It's like your picture's there for you to look at, and should be pretty easy. Well, not easy, but like it should be pretty straightforward.